So now let's come to some applications for reverb. I guess the first one and obvious one would be the drums. Now, I usually don't like to put a reverb across my whole drum mix. I just let the room mic do the whole fattening up, and I just put a plate reverb as send effects on my snare. So not insert effect, because when you put it as insert effect, it will wash up the whole direct sound of the snare, and you don't really want to have that going on. You just want to have the snare to be in your face, upfront, straightforward, and just have the reverb kind of as an addition to carry on this fullness of the snare, to fatten it up a bit more. So let's listen to the snare without the reverb. Now with. So you see also in the settings what's happening. The pre-delay is set to about 30 milliseconds. So for the first 30 milliseconds, you just have the usual snare sound and the fullness of it, and then the reverb comes in and carries that on. And this is really technically what you want to do with it. Now, of course, you can also go crazy with, I don't know, stuff like this. Or focus it more up. Yeah, stuff like that. And I usually also always put a plate reverb on the snare, because the plate sounds really dense and in your face and focused. And this really helps to enhance the snare sound, because other reverb sounds like a hall or room, they sound a bit too smooth, and they don't give me this extra bit that I want on my snare. A plate, on the other hand, works just wonderful. So let's just listen to the whole drum mix first without the snare reverb. Okay, and now with. Yeah, that's it. Now the next application would be on vocals. So where are we? Vocals. Let's take the main vocal track. Get back into our mixer. Let's look for the vocals back here. There's my main vocal bus. Let's take out the reverbs for now, and also this delay so we can hear it better. Now let's see.
Fight with anything, screaming as we're killing through the night. Anything, yeah, we never seem to even.
Okay, yeah, sounds nice. Now let's take a look at the reverb and see what happens when we introduce this one.
The fight with anything, screaming as we're killing through the night. Anything, yeah, we never seem.
I could be editing this better. Anyways, so again, here you see a plate reverb in use. Again, for the same reason as for the snare, because the plate sounds dense and in your face. And I also like that for vocals very much, because it just helps to beef them up, especially for this heavy metal stuff. I think plates work much better because, yeah, they just introduce this bit more focused mids and harshness, if you will. And that really helps to give the vocals more power. Now for other stuff, like some ambient tracks, I rather like to use hall reverbs, because they sound smooth and more open, and they just add more, yeah, you could say warmth to the vocals. So you can see, depending on what you're doing, you may want to use one over the other. Okay, now let's see how the dampening can change the whole vibe of the vocals.
the fight with anything, screaming as we're killing through the night. Anything, yeah, we never seem to even feel a thing until we are despised.
See what's going on. So there you can really put it however you need it, depending on what you are doing. You notice with reverbs there is no real right or wrong. There's perhaps a better and worse, but there's no set rule. There's no black and white. You just kind of have to fiddle around with it, experiment, see what happens. And now here I also have something fun going on over there. In the second verse of this song, which is called Fight, by the way, which I already uploaded to my YouTube channel. So, and now here for the second verse, I put in something fun. Let's see, where is the second verse? See, on another FX channel, I just put a delay with the mix to 100. So there's just the delay going on and not the direct sound. And then afterwards, the room reverb from Studio One. This time I chose this one because it has more of an ambient and dreamy sound. The reverb from Waves sounds a bit too realistic to pull off what I wanted to do here. So,
Sent from his tongue, carried by our blood.
yeah, there you see what's going on. So this ambient reverb is not coming in immediately with the actual vocals, but because of the delay, it's kicking in later. And I find doing it this way, it helps to keep the vocals up front and straightforward and very clear. And then the reverb just kind of kicks in later and just adds this ambient layer beneath it. And I really like this technique. Now another application would be on lead guitars or even solos. So let's see, I have my solo here. So yeah, let's get out the delay again so we can hear it more clearly. And here's the reverb I used for this guitar. Now, normally I use a plate reverb again on the guitars because it has more of this mid focus. But this section in this song is rather smooth sounding, so I rather pick the hall reverb. And yeah, you can just listen without it and with it again. Without it. Kind of sloppy playing, but anyways. And now with it. So you see, it adds this extra space that you just want to have in there so it doesn't sound too dry. And especially the early reflections are kind of important to me on the solos because it helps to widen it in your stereo field so it's not too dead centered. I don't like it when stuff is too dead center. That's also how I do it on the vocals. I forgot to mention, sorry. The early reflections are kind of important to me on the vocals as well, for same reason. And then delay, yeah, and you have it. Yeah. And of course on ambient guitars, it's also very important. But here it's already in the tone. I don't have an extra reverb on there. Yeah. But for the intro of this song, I actually did use a reverb and I just automated the whole mix stuff here to go down. And this fader will be going up. soon. It's going up. And see, this is going down. Sometimes I like reverb fades much better than filter fades or just simple volume fades, because it feels much more interesting to me when something sounds far away and it just comes closer and closer and clearer and clearer. And also with fade outs on songs, I sometimes do this with other bands. I haven't done it on my songs yet, I think. I also put a fade out with reverb, because it kind of feels just that whole thing goes on, but it just kind of slowly fades away. And I think with reverb, it's much cooler than with just volume fading or filtering. It's that's all so standard. I mean, just try it with reverb once. It's kind of fun. I also find reverb very useful for making your own pad synth. So let's see here. There's also a new song from our new album Reflection, but I'm not going to show you any details about this one. So let's... Okay, this is just the normal choir VST. It's just from the Studio One presence thingy here. Okay, now let's introduce this reverb again. Sounds way beautiful. And again, I chose the room reverb for this one because the other reverbs I have just sound too realistic. It's hard to get this dreamy ambient sound with it. I also like to use reverb on pianos for same reason, giving it some more ambience again. So without it. And with. Now I could actually also just put this one room reverb on an extra FX channel and then put the send levels for my piano and my pad however I need it, but somehow I just felt like doing it as inserts. I don't know why. Perhaps I was too lazy to set up an extra FX channel. I don't know. Well, what other reasons could you use a reverb for? Take, for example, this farting synth sound. Yeah. And now let's put some reverb on it. I like it very much. And of course, in mastering, reverb can be quite helpful, although it's extremely subtle there. In mastering, you really only want to use reverb to just add this little bit of depth to your whole mix. And to give the whole mix and all the instruments the sense that they are kind of in the same room, although they all have different reverbs going on perhaps. So... But you really want to be subtle with it. You don't really want to have the reverb on the mastering to be audible that much. It's just this tiny bit of extra that's giving this mix this little bit of extra glue, if you want. So yeah, I hope this was at least mildly helpful. Then you kids have fun experimenting with your reverbs.